Welcome to We Win New. From intense emergency landings and low flyboys to shocking mechanical failures, these rare moments push the limits of aviation and show just how unpredictable the skies can be. Now, let's get started. The crash of the aircraft in Lages, Santa Catarina, occurred on April 2, 2010, during an aerial demonstration in Pelotas, Brazil. The pilot was unable to recover the aircraft in time, resulting in a crash near the runway. The accident occurred in front of approximately 10,000 spectators. However, no one on the ground was injured. On April 3, 2013, a plane crashed in Toowoomba, Australia, after a problem developed with the twin aircraft's undercarriage. It skidded along a runway nose first at 200 metres when its front landing wheel failed to deploy. The pair escaped unharmed, although they were shaken by the experience. During the Flugmeeting Emmen on July 24, 2010, the Rutan Long E-Z, registered HBYDB, experienced a hard landing upon approach, striking the ground with significant force that caused structural stress to the airframe. Check. A micro-light accident occurred during landing, and while it might seem a bit humorous in hindsight, the passenger had to admit it was genuinely frightening, especially considering it was his very first flight. The sudden jolt, the unexpected loss of control, and the rush of adrenaline made for an experience I won't soon forget.
Descendez vite.
Magnifique.
On May 26, 2025, an AN-24 aircraft operated by Hangar Airlines, flying from Irkutsk to Kirensk, Russia, rolled off the runway after landing at Kirensk Airport. The aircraft veered off the runway and came to rest in the grass. There were 46 passengers and 5 crew aboard. No injuries were reported. During what was intended to be a routine test flight in New Zealand, a Whitman Tailwind W-10 aircraft experienced a failure that led to a crash. A microlight crash occurred unexpectedly in France, turning what was meant to be a routine and recreational flight into a harrowing experience. On 22 November, an Azul Linhas Airways ATR 72-600 operated a domestic flight between Aracaju and Recife, Brazil. During landing at Recife, however, the aircraft struck its tail on the runway.
Eita danado!
On September 23, 2023, an Ilyushin Il-76 suffered an accident during landing at Gao International Airport, Mali. The aircraft touched down late on runway, 2,500 meters long, and failed to stop on the remaining runway. It traveled another 380 m, passed the end of the runway, crossed a perimeter road, and went down an embankment. However, this also presents significant safety risks, as the powerful jet blast from departing or arriving aircraft can pose hazards to people standing nearby, as well as to unsecured objects that may be blown away or damaged by the force. Maybe gearbox seizure. Before takeoff, the propeller would have been driven irregularly, causing it to surge, and when you've never flown, it's not difficult to imagine that the hardest part isn't taking off, but landing. The aircraft reported engine failure and then began to lose altitude significantly and ended up landing next to the runway, as can be seen in the video. The twin beach appears to blow the right tyre on takeoff roll, then veers off of the runway into grass. There were no injuries and no damage to the plane. This was at Nut Tree Airport in Vacaville, California on September 5, 2009 during the Mustang Days event.
Fuck it.
The total cargo B-737 had a fire aboard and made an emergency landing in Guarulhos, Brazil. All 2 aboard survived. Footage from the jet shows extensive damage in the fuselage. Crew evacuated via escape rope from the cockpit. On March 5, 2010, at Yao Airport in Japan, an aircraft accident occurred during a touch-and-go training exercise when the aircraft failed to properly lift off again after touchdown. There were no injuries. On November 11, 2010, at Benton Harbor Airport, Michigan, a small aircraft was forced to make an emergency landing after experiencing a failure of its nose landing gear, resulting in a crash landing that caused the front of the plane to collapse upon touchdown. Fortunately, no injuries were reported among those on board. A small plane crashed down at DeKalb Peachtree Airport on February 16, 2023. The encountered engine problems shortly after takeoff and had to return to the airport. It made a left-hand turn before quickly descending and slamming into the ground. The plane hit the cable of a glider tug and quickly spiraled out of control in Gap, France. The pilot then deployed an ingenious integrated parachute system, saving his life. A Sopwith Camel narrowly avoided a ground loop during landing as the aircraft began to yaw uncontrollably while decelerating on the runway, but the pilot skillfully corrected the drift just in time. On May the 3rd of 2025, a Fugger Zephyr trainer jet nearly made a belly landing at High-Res Airport in France. While approaching to land after a training mission, the landing gear was not deployed at the appropriate time. Just as the fuselage was about to touch the runway, the pilot suddenly extended the landing gear. Due to low altitude and insufficient distance, a safe landing was impossible, so the pilot initiated a go-around. After readjusting, the trainer landed successfully. This happened just north of Winnipeg, Canada, and the aircraft was the first version with PT-667 turboprop. The control locks were still locked when the aircraft took off.
I cannot believe it.
An airplane made an unusual landing at Charlotte Douglas International Airport, North Carolina, on June 28, 2023, when its landing gear failed to work properly. The plane's nose landing gear failed to deploy, but the pilots were still able to safely land the plane. It had 2 pilots, 3 flight attendants, and 96 passengers on board. The passengers and crew exited the plane through the slides and were taken to the terminal on a bus. A Ukrainian Air Force Su-24 fighter jet performed incredibly low. An airplane crashed in the Barra Funda area to the west of São Paulo, Brazil on February 7, 2025. The aircraft collided with at least 1 bus. Abingdon Air and Country Show has become the traditional season opener for the main UK air display season, often attracting some of the finest displays from around the country.
Barrel rolls.
On May 14, 2017, in Oxfordshire, the Twister Aerobatics team experienced a significant incident. Pilot Chris Burkett, flying a Twister aircraft, encountered engine failure during a synchronized aerobatic maneuver.
Oh!
However, due to insufficient altitude and energy, the aircraft pancaked onto the field, resulting in a hard landing. You can watch some videos of the helicopter crash at a wedding in São Paulo, Brazil. After the aircraft crashed, firefighters quickly arrived at the scene and managed to rescue the victims, who were not seriously injured after the aircraft crashed. During the 2017 Lithuanian Club Class Championship held in Flugmeeting, a glider pilot was forced to perform an outlanding in a field of tall crops after being unable to complete the task. A Summit Air aircraft at Lukla Airport veered right during the takeoff roll due to uneven thrust between the two engines on April 14, 2019. The inexperienced co-pilot and his instructor were unable to correct the plane because of the slope and narrow width of the runway. US Bangalore Airlines Flight 2011, a plane crashes attempting to land in Kathmandu, Nepal in 2018. Factors: captain stress, lack of CRM, fatigue, training. Others: This is why you always tie down your plane before a storm. A microburst tore through San Marcos Airport, Texas on May 22, 2025. A television news helicopter covering in Brooklyn, New York, spun out of control and crashed onto the roof of a Flatbush apartment building in 2004. Pilot was a Vietnam helicopter pilot. He knew what he was doing, not only to save the lives of all aboard, but on the ground as well. It's Lukla Airport, a tiny airstrip nestled in the heart of the Himalayas, serving as the gateway to Mount Everest. Lukla is so infamous among pilots and travelers alike because of unpredictable mountain weather and extreme elevation. On September 11, 2006, a helicopter crashed in the Panjshir province of Afghanistan, erupting into flames upon impact and sending thick black smoke billowing into the sky. On March 22, 2025, a Russian Sukhoi Su-34 bomber made a dramatic emergency belly landing without its landing gear deployed. Seen in this footage, canopy was dropped for the ease of evacuation after aircraft came to a stop. The Robinson helicopter was caught on camera flying at an extremely low altitude, during which it clipped the tops of several trees before the pilot managed to bring it down safely. On April 2, 2010, a plane crashed during an aerobatic display at Lajes Airport in Santa Catarina, Brazil. The Brazilian Air Force then suspended all aerobatic demonstrations. According to an initial statement from the NTSB, the McDonnell Douglas jet, currently part of Boeing, had a landing gear collapse. Passengers exited the jet through the left side emergency windows as fire engines approached the aircraft to contain the blaze. Flight had departed Santo Domingo at 3:36 p.m. and landed in Miami at 5:38 p.m. Red Air's MD-80 is one of 3 owned by the airline, all of which are quite old. The aircraft entered service with American Airlines in 1990, where it flew until 2015. In 2017, it was transferred to the Venezuelan airline Laser, and since February 2021, it has flown for Red Air. At the time the aircraft was approaching for landing to intercept an advanced support unit in care of a male victim of acute myocardial infarction. There were no serious injuries and the entire crew is fine. It was in Jiquitai, Brazil. On October 3, 1990, in the 19-year history of the Salinas Airshow, California, there had never been a single accident. Only the most skilled pilots fly here. A smooth landing is something both the pilot and his fans have come to expect on that day, but it fails. The helicopter was filming a truck rollover on Weir Road, London, on January 19, 2013, when the accident happened. The chopper came to a rest on its side, having lost its tail rotor. The pilot did not require hospital treatment. The company that owns the helicopter has issued a statement praising the pilot for making an emergency landing in difficult terrain. A helicopter pilot demonstrating incredible mountain flying skills, expertly maneuvering the aircraft through rugged terrain, steep slopes and narrow ridgeline with remarkable precision. On 27 June 2019, an aircraft operating Angara Airlines Flight 200 suffered an engine failure on takeoff. On landing at Nizhnegarsk, Russia, the airplane unexpectedly veered to the right, left the runway, ran along the ground, broke through the airport fence, crashed into a sewage treatment plant building, and stopped. In Russia, the plane was educational. They performed a training landing with one engine. At the time of landing, about 200 meters. Above the ground, the second engine refused. Another engine the pilots did not have time to launch. This video highlights the importance of safety precautions during scenic flights, emphasizing key measures such as providing a thorough pre-flight safety briefing to passengers before boarding,
Senhor do céu!
It's a stark reminder of how critical proper procedures and awareness can be in preventing accidents and ensuring passenger safety. A helicopter from the Trento Fire Department, Italy, crashed in the south of Trento near the ring road. The helicopter was being used for technical activities in mountainous regions and for interventions in forest fires. The aircraft had a breakdown and the pilot had to make an emergency landing. He sought the safest possible location in order to try to avoid major damage. A chilling video captured by a passenger shows the moment an Angara Airlines An-24 crashed into a building after the aircraft veered off the runway on landing at Nizhnegarsk Airport, Russia. All 43 passengers survived. It occurred on 27 June 2019.
got it going. On the river.
During the Pyrenees Cup, June 2nd, 2021, third day of competition, a small plane ran out of height and had to land on a very high crop wheat field. The pilot of a twin-Jenny Cessna made an emergency belly landing at Arlington Municipal Airport on May 23, 2025. With gears retracted, the pilot touched down on a foam-covered runway and slid to a stop. 2 people exited the aircraft with their luggage and walked away. Watch as a skilled pilot lands an American Airlines Boeing 757 in Tegucigalpa, Honduras. The plane went off the runway and scraped its engines. The left side of the plane caught fire shortly after the attempt to abort takeoff. On May 21, 2024, a Singapore Airlines flight from London struck severe turbulence and was forced to make an emergency landing in Bangkok. A helicopter that was taking panoramic flights for participants in the Polenta Festival in Venda Nova, Brazil, lost power and had to land on a brick factory a few seconds after taking off in 2013. The helicopter had no company identification, no visible prefix, and was flying from a vacant lot. The pilot apparently lost control of the helicopter.
Reactores F-86 Sabre.
The aircraft crashed into a hangar and exploded at an airfield in the southwest of the capital, in front of witnesses. A civilian helicopter crashed into a parking lot in the Chinese capital on July 30, 2018, after the pilot managed to steer the aircraft away from crowded areas. The flight had 154 passengers and 7 crew members on board. During the takeoff attempt on runway, the aircraft began to drift to the right shortly after the takeoff thrust was applied. A helicopter that was taking the bride to a wedding at an event venue in Vinhedo, Sao Paulo, crashed when the tail of the aircraft got caught in part of the structure of the event venue. Even with the helicopter crash, the wedding went ahead, and the party went ahead. On July 22, 2023, Azimuth Airlines Sukhoi Superjet lost its engine cowling during takeoff from Mineralnie Vody Airport in Russia. The aircraft returned safely moments later. The YAK-130 aircraft of the Air Force crashed into the Karnafuli River, Bangladesh, due to a mechanical glitch. Both pilots successfully ejected from the aircraft using parachutes and were subsequently rescued by local sailors. A Ukrainian Air Force AN-26 aircraft has reportedly crashed after striking a power pole, which led to one of its engines catching fire and ultimately causing the aircraft to go down. It's footage taken from Kowloon City, Hong Kong, as the planes pass over the buildings.
Holy cow!
Small aircraft crashed and exploded near a beach in Ubatuba, a popular tourist destination in the southeastern state of Sao Paulo. The pilot attempted to land at the airport but lost control, crashing through the security fence of the terminal. Brazilian TV network's helicopter crashes after attempting an emergency landing in Sao Paulo's Jockey Club, and the accident is caught on camera by another news helicopter. On May 27, 2017, a Summit Air was performing Freight Flight 409 from Kathmandu to Lukla. Nepal contacted a tree short of the runway. The aircraft slid down the slope before coming to a rest about 200 meters below the runway level. The effect of resonance in a helicopter, particularly lateral resonance, can be extremely dangerous, as mechanical vibrations generated by rotor dynamics or structural imbalances can rapidly build up in intensity. On August 1, 2023, a helicopter crashed at the Oba Akron Road in Nigeria. The emergency services and residents for their quick response to the incident. Investigation revealed that 4 occupants of the helicopter had been rescued unhurt. The finish line is here. Don't forget to give us a like button and share your road encounters in the comments. And don't miss the video on the right side of the screen. See you soon.